Hi, this is Liz Haas with Raises Photomask. I'd just like to welcome you to our demonstration. Today we're going to be showing how to take artwork and sand carve it on a wine bottle to do relief etching, relief letter etching with a two-part sandblast as well as a two-part paint fill. And first we're going to start with our artwork here. And if you look at my artwork, I have an image pulled up here, and this is the first design we did with this relief lettering, which is the happy girls are the prettiest. And this is what the finished product looks like right here. And you'll see here that the happy girls are that lettering is just the wine bottle part. So the background is painted, but so the paint provides a contrast to the happy girls are and then you have the Audrey Hepburn, which is the clear glass of the wine bottle. The rest of it, the prettiest and the bow, has been hand painted, but we painted the background and we painted two parts of this design here. So on this artwork right here, black equals blast. I'm using SR 3000 5mm, a self-stick film. So I have here the background is going to be blasted because it's black, and my lettering is going to be all photoresist film. And so this is important. What's important with this type of artwork or this type of etching is that you have a thick font that's able to hold up for a deep blast, because you're going to have raised lettering. You're going to actually remove the background of your design. So you want to make sure that your font is very kind of like a little thicker, or add a stroke to your font. This font right here is actually a 20-point font. It's a little large, but it looks better. It's readable once we get done sandblasting. So that is my artwork. You have your text. You type out your text, you place the additional image over that text. So the happy girls are the prettiest is placed over the text, and that's all I've done. And so that's it. Once I print this out, I have my film positive. I'm going to turn this around, and I'll close this. And I'm using 5mm. So here I have this design, very similar concept. I have my lettering, and I have the white areas that we're going to sandblast. We're going to peel up everything that's white. That's either going to be the color of the wine bottle or it's going to be hand painted. Okay, so I have this bottle right here, similar Star Spangled Banner in the background. I have my stars that we did not etch, and the I Pledge Allegiance again is the color of the wine bottle. So we're kind of bringing the wine bottle through, bringing that color through the design. Okay, so we're using self-stick film 5mm. Now let's look at our bottles. I'm going to bring a couple bottles over here. Let's see here. And I have one more. Okay, so when we start with our wine bottle, you'll notice I have the mask on here. I have it taped with a vinyl tape, and I have saran wrap wrapped around my wine bottle. And the reason why I put saran wrap is because the saran wrap is protecting my label and is protecting my top of my bottle. And I'm using the vinyl tape because it's a durable tape for sandblasting depth into glass. But how do you do that? So real simple, we're going to take our mask, and I have my mask here. And you can actually use a water-based Sharpie to create like an alignment mark. I'm going to kind of do a little pull tab here. We're going to place this mask on here. You want to make sure it's on there straight, and that you want to look at your label, and you want to make sure that mask fits right on the back, nice and even. You're going to take your squeegee, and I had my squeegee up here. Give me just a moment. Here it is. And then when you're squeegeeing a mask onto a wine bottle, this is key. You have to use pressure. You want to see that burnisher actually conform to the shape of the glass. If you're just kind of rubbing it, that's not going to do anything for you. You want to really put pressure on this mask. You're not going to hurt it, but that's how you want to get that mask on that surface. You want to put a lot of pressure. Once you have that mask down, you're going to go ahead and peel off this clear liner. Okay. I'm going to peel this off here. Okay, and the mask did lift up a little bit there. We're just going to kind of push that down. Anytime that you re-squeegee, always put the clear liner back over your design, and then you can re-squeegee that. Okay, so second part is going to be taking my saran wrap. I'm going to place that here. I'm going to pull a good amount of saran wrap out. Okay. We're going to place the bottle. Okay. And then we're going to cut this. And we're just going to place this over. So now my top is protected. I'm going to lift this up, kind of fold it over just under the mask. And I'll turn this sideways to you so you guys can see this. And then when we take our saran wrap, we're just going to pull it nice and tight and bring it just past the label. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a space for that tape to adhere to. If I pull this saran wrap all the way up, that tape is going to stick to the saran wrap, and it's going to move around a little bit. So we want it nice and tight, and we want it just on the outside of my mask. Okay, now I'm going to take my tape, and here's my tape. And I'm using, again, the vinyl tape. Okay, so I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to cover my mask on the side here with that saran wrap. Okay. And basically, I would do all 4 sides, just like I did here. 4 sides, saran wrap protects my label, protects the top. Because we're going to put this in the sandblaster and sandblast it. And you don't want you don't want your label to get dirty. So this is basically what we would do. I'm going to set this aside. So this is actually ready to be sandblasted, okay? So I'm going to take this in the cabinet. We're going to start to sandblast it. And what I'm going to do is I want to get enough depth to where my letters are raised. Okay, so if you're looking here, you can see that my letters are raised, and that's the idea. I want to blast until I can have those letters raised. Once I'm done blasting, I'm going to peel off these letters, and then I'm going to frost them. Okay, so it's a little bit labor intensive on the blasting, but this is how you kind of create a unique design. So I'm going to put this up on the camera, on the screen in the blaster, and you guys can watch me sandblast this. Okay, so we're going to be blasting about 40 pounds of pressure. And what's important here is you want to make sure that you blast on your stencil. Okay. You don't want to blast the area that's covered by saran wrap. And this is the thin membrane that's blasting away. Okay. Okay. And so now I'm just working this area so I can get depth. I'm just blasting the background away. Okay. And that's all I'm doing here. And you can use a 120 grit to blast a little faster. It's a little coarser. You just want to watch your distance. Be about 6 to 7 inches away from the mask. And for time's sake, I'm not going to blast the whole bottle. Just kind of giving you a concept here. Giving you an idea of what this looks like. Nice even strokes, keeping the same distance so you have a nice even blast. A lot of people ask, when are you done? When you start to see those letters raised, you want to make sure that you have good depth. It just makes the whole process, it makes the whole project look really sharp when you have a lot of depth or good depth on this particular design. Okay. So I'm going to stop here, but you can kind of see the background is being removed. I need to blast for a few more minutes to achieve the depth that I want. But let's go ahead and take a look at this bottle that I have here. And this is one that I've already been blasting. I kind of removed some of my lettering, but I'm going to kind of remove a little bit of this lettering here. So this is already done. This has already been blasted to the depth that I want, but let's remove some of this lettering. Now you can use a picker, you can use a razor. Right now I'm just using my nails for time's sake here. But again, you're just going to remove some of this lettering here. And we're going to prepare for the second blast. You can kind of see that photoresist is just coming right off. That's what we want. Okay. And it's a little, what you need to do is you need to use a picker to get in between these letters to remove that photoresist. But let's go ahead and sandblast this area here. So now that we remove these first 3 lines here, I'm going to sandblast that area. Okay, so now I'm removing that polish, sandblasting it. And just kind of rounding off the letters. Okay. All right. So now we have this all blasted, these first 3 lines. And this is what you would do with the whole bottle. Just the text, the background text. You would remove the top photoresist and then sandblast it again. But for time's sake, we're going to stop there. And we're going to move on to the second part here. Okay, so just so you guys can get an idea, you can see I removed that lettering and just blasted it, kind of like frosted it right up here. You see that? See how we have photoresist here on these letters? I just remove that photoresist and just kind of remove the polish, the sandblasting. And there we go right here. All right, so let's go ahead. Now, once you have all the lettering removed and you've sandblasted it, remove the polish, you're ready to add your background paint. And there's a couple of paints that I like to use. One is the Art Primo paint. Another one is a paint from Art Primo, and it's called, it's from Montana. So it's a Montana paint, and it's considered a high gloss paint. The Belton Molotow paints are like a matte finish. So this one right here was done with this one, the Belton Molotow paints, and this one was done with the Montana paint. This has a little bit of a gloss to it, where this one has more of a matte finish. Anytime you're dealing with a glossy type paint, you need to prepare for longer dry times, okay? All right, so what you would do is you want to make sure your cans are shook real well, and then you would add your paint to this surface. You're going to paint in light coats from different angles, and that's how you achieve your background paint. So we have this all painted white, just from this can of paint, spray painting that. All right, so let's move on to the next step, which would be adding in your hand painted areas. So I'm going to put this towel down, and what I've done here is I've taken certain areas and I peeled them up, okay, and then I've added some paint. So on here I have my 3 stars that I lifted up, and I used one-shot paints. Okay, one-shot paints with a paintbrush, and I have a little lacquer thinner in my jar here just to clean my brushes. But you would peel up, if there's an area that you wanted to paint, you'd peel up the mask. Okay, and I'm just going to peel this up here, and I'm revealing the wine bottle area so you can kind of just see the design. Okay, now I've already started painting this project here just for time's sake. So what I'm doing here is just kind of revealing some of this design to you. Okay. And then I have one more here. So I'm just using my little picking tool. There we go. Let me grab this. I just want you to see what this flag looks like.
Is there such thing as going too far, too deep?
You can blast through the bottle. Great question if you can blast too deep. You can blast through the bottle, but it's going to take you a long time. The bottles are pretty thick, as you can see on the bottom here, how thick these bottles are. So it does take quite a long time to blast through. You'd be there for a long time. Your mask would probably dissolve before you got through the bottle. So let's go ahead and you can see some of my design here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up my stars so you can see the paint process. Okay. So I like to have a little towel here just to kind of keep my brushes clean. I'm going to take a little bit of the red paint that I'm using. Again, I'm using one-shot paints. And hopefully you guys can see that okay. And then I'm just going to touch up the middle star here. And you're just applying some paint by hand. And that's all you're doing, just adding a little bit of that paint just to touch up some of this area that you like. Kind of give it a little pop of color. We'll turn this around to hit this star over here. Okay. All right. So this, in a sense, you would take your blue, do the same thing with your blue as your red. If you ever get any paint in the white area, you can use a little paintbrush with some acetone and touch up that area to remove some of that paint, and then grab your white paint and kind of touch up that area. But once this is done, you can unwrap the bottle and then you can clean it up once the paint's dry. Again, with one-shot paints, you need to let that dry for about 24 hours before you want to hand it off to your customer. So I'll clean this up just a little bit, just using some spray away glass cleaner. Okay. Here we go. And then there's our paint. There's our bottle with the relief etch, and then our flag. So we have some of the wine bottles showing through, and then we have our design already completed here. Okay. Yes. So thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed this. We have, again, this relief lettering concept here on a wine bottle. We have text behind it with a background of paint and hand painted some of the design from the top.